Hi, this is Alex.
Hi. Hi, this is Alex.
You're right. He's Alex. I'm Tom. Welcome back to match 2. We are on the play, and we have
Abundant sarcophagus.
a
I like
a
this.
slow but keepable hand here. Do you think we'll be cycling our Wander in Death on turn 2, Alex?
Probably.
And why specifically? Normally you wouldn't.
Because we have the sarcophagus.
Yeah, we have the sarcophagus and can get it back later anyway. Since we're not going to have anything to do on turn 2, we don't have many creatures with us yet that we could even get back with the Wander in Death. It's not going to do much sitting in our hand for quite a long time. So let's just cycle it. Get some value now. Use it again later. Give me a creature I can play besides the Banewhip Punisher. I'd really rather not have to put a 1/1 on a 2-drop. Opponent is not getting F6 value.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, if he had F6 or even F8'd, would have zipped through once he finished his Defiant Kenra because he didn't have anything else he could do. So now we've got some interesting choices. I'm not thrilled about the idea of playing a Banewhip Punisher right now. So my options would be just to get the sarcophagus down now, or to cycle the River Serpent and do nothing else. What do you think, Alex?
Cycling the river serpent and then playing the sarcophagus would do the same thing as playing the sarcophagus, then cycling the river serpent.
Well, I can't do both on the same turn. So the question is, do I want a sarcophagus this turn, or do I want a River Serpent cycle and nothing else?
I think we should do a serpent because we are more likely to have something to do next turn.
Okay, well then I'm going to cycle this now because it's possible we draw something we can actually use. And so instead of doing it on his turn, there may be something I want to cast on mine. For example, now I know I should play another River Serpent, or play another island, so that I can cycle it at the end of my opponent's turn. For example, I could have drawn a Feral Prowler, then I would have known to play a Forest. I might have drawn Winds of Rebuke, so I would have known I would need another island or Consign.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little unfortunate. I would have liked to have played Swamp last turn, so that this next turn, if I draw another Swamp, I can activate Banewhip Punisher right away. But opponent's not doing anything. Opponent may have an Open Fire and a Braid, something else they're holding on to. I am going to play the Swamp this turn, still thinking if I draw another Swamp I may want to do two things with it. Now we're going to get the sarcophagus down. A couple more turns, we'll start bringing out River Serpents that can't attack. Taking 2 damage here, but that's not a problem. Opponent had played some beefy-ish 3-drop. It definitely would have put the Banewhip Punisher down. Oasis Ritualist.
Great target for a Banewhip Punisher.
Yes, it is. I really want to draw a Swamp now. I could consider consigning the Ritualist, but then I lose the counter, so that's not going to work well. But if I have another 3-drop, I might play a different 3-drop and consign the Ritualist. We'll see.
Naga Oracle is...
So Naga Oracle doesn't let me do two things. But I almost think here that I'd rather Banewhip Punisher or something they get out with the Ritualist, because I can't stop my opponent from using their Ritualist next turn. So I'm leaning towards Naga Oracle here. Now it's worth pointing out I cannot put a cycling card into the graveyard and have it survive. It'll wind up exiled. So I do need to be careful about that. Well, I definitely don't want the Cunning Survivor. Feral Prowler. Next turn I could... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really, next turn I'm probably either going to be Banewhip Punishering, in which case I want something else cheap to do, or I'm going to be bringing out my River Serpent if my opponent doesn't bring something scary out. What do you think about these two cards, Alex?
Winds of Rebuke seems good because it helps us get cycling cards in the graveyard that we can cast later.
I don't understand how Winds of Rebuke gets cycling cards into the graveyard.
It mills everybody too.
But that won't work on us because of Abandoned Sarcophagus.
Oh yeah.
If a card with cycling would be put in your graveyard from anywhere, and it wasn't cycled, exiled instead. But I think you're right. I may have some kind of turn where I go put a counter in your Banewhip Punisher, bounce whatever big fatty you play, and then next turn kill the Ritualist so that you can't recast it. That's a possibility. So I'm going to bin the Prowler and put the Winds of Rebuke back up on top. And that's our turn.
And next turn, unless we draw something better, we might just play a River Serpent.
I think it's more dependent on what our opponent does.
Yes.
If our opponent plays a big fatty, I'm going to Banewhip Punisher that. For example, that's a fine Banewhip Punisher target.
We are one swamp short, though.
I would like to get another swamp. So he's only one land off of Hippoing.
That's
one thing I can consider is putting the counter on the Ritualist, bouncing the Hippo at some point after I take damage from it, and then killing the Ritualist next turn. That's taking a lot of damage, putting me
would
down
you
to
bounce
11.
it after you took damage?
Well, I bounced at the end of his turn so he can't replay it this turn. Because once he passes to his end step, if I bounce this, I'm essentially saving myself 5 damage in the future.
I think we should just kill the Hippo.
I think that's probably the best thing to do. Now, the question is, do we want to bounce his Ritualist to his hand?
We have 2 bounce spells, so it'll be a while before he can actually get value out of it. If he exerts it though, we don't play our bounce spell yet.
Yeah, it's possible he'll use some kind of trick on the Hippo that we may want to bounce it to his hand. I think we cast Consign rather than Winds of Rebuke.
Because Consign has a use later.
Correct. And also, since we can only help our opponents by putting something in their graveyard. So for example, if opponent has an Ambuscade here, which is one of the few things I would consider doing before combat right now.
Because it gets +1/+0, right?
There's our and he's interestingly not doing it on the Hippo, just in case we have some kind of response, which we do, and we are going to bounce that back to his hand. He will not be able to replay it.
So he actually loses, is he gonna tap, so if he taps it, he loses 1 turn of mana, but if he doesn't tap it, he loses...
Well, he could float, actually, no, he could replay it if he exerts his Ritualist.
If he exerts it and
floats
then...
the mana, he could replay it.
But then that wastes the rest of his turn.
Correct. That's probably what he's thinking about doing right now. Yep.
No, if you were to gain control of a creature exerted, it would untap on your turn because it only untaps during their...
It only doesn't untap during their next untap step. That's correct. Ooh. Opponent plays a Scavenger Ground. If he's using that now, that's really unfortunate.
What did he play?
He played this, we passed this pick once. You know, it's unlikely this person was actually in our pod because we're in a league. But if our opponent exiles our graveyard right now, we're losing a lot of value from the River Serpents. Yep, there they go. Okay, well that's unfortunate.
We lost a lot of stuff. Everything in our graveyard except the Feral Prowler and the Cunning Survivor. We could have replayed somehow.
And we're just gonna take that.
That's notable to leave up.
Yep. Let's see. I think we'll go to attacks.
And if he attacks with that, we can use our Punisher as a blocker. Or we just attack for 2.
He might let the 2 through. Yeah, I've got some kind of toughness pumping spell. He doesn't want to lose it. He does, so he called the bluff. But it's not a bad bluff for us because we're going to get our value anyway. And then we're going to F6 the rest of our turn and hold up Essence Scatter and Winds of Rebuke.
Essence wins.
We lost
Without
3 cards out of our graveyard. 4 cards. We lost our Wanderer in Death, our 2 River Serpents, and our...
Cunning Survivor. Not Cunning Survivor.
Consigned to Oblivion. Yeah. Opponent's probably playing some trick here, but my Naga Oracle isn't doing any good anyway, so I'll play.
Eldrazi processors would be interesting. I know, that's random.
Oh, okay, so this way we're actually 2 for 1-ing him if he's got some kind of a Braid or other... Bone Picker. Well, we're going to... Well, we could counter it or we could bounce it back to his hand. I think we're just going to counter it.
Yeah.
You might figure out a way to get something else to die next turn anyway. Yep. My question is, do we want to bounce this? I guess I could now, but I kind of want some more information. So we're not really getting any value here, so...
We should...
It's not looking great for us right now.
We might want to...
has 3 more cards, and we have 3 junk cards. We might want to what, Alex?
Bounce it during his... but then he can still replay it.
Yeah, the weakest thing you can ever do with a bounce spell like this is just bouncing a creature for no value just to slow them down a turn. You're using a card. Effectively, they're not using a card. You're just slowing them down at cost of a card to you. Kind of at the mercy of whatever opponent has in their hand right now.
We played a land. Interesting. Basic lands are not shown on the right side.
What do you mean by... over here? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but they are?
Sure. Plays Mountain.
Oh,
Plays
okay.
Mountain.
I just thought he played a basic land. He played Survivor's Encampment.
So we haven't seen anything amazing out of our Oasis Ritualist 3 color deck. It's actually just kind of some average mid-rangey creatures for the most part.
That's about what we have though, isn't it?
No, we've got some more top-end creatures. We've got 5/5s. And we're not drawing anything we actually want here. This is not going well. I'm going to probably plan on bouncing the Gilded Ceradon before attacks so that the Ceradons cannot block effect does not happen. And I just need to be saving some damage here. Now I'm at the desperate point. And there goes my Glorybringer. And my Wanderer in Death is gone. This game has not gone well. I will block if he attacks with the Naga, which he doesn't. He's going to replay the Ceradon. I'm going to really... so our 5/5s are the best play right now. I don't see a good reason to save this because I can't get a blowout. I'm not going to be able to kill anything if the Naga Oracle has 3 power during combat. So while he's tapped out now and can't really do anything in response, I'm going to kill his Naga.
That's not true. You could kill a Gilded Ceradon in combat if you dealt damage to it and then blocked.
Yes, I would lose my Naga Oracle at that point, though.
Fair enough.
My other consideration is I could kill the Ritualist and save my Oracle. But right now I care more about preventing that 4 damage than I do about stopping him from making any bigger... If he's got more bigger things, I'm losing even if he doesn't have the Ritualist, probably. Because he's just going to be able to cast almost anything in his hand because he has 6 mana. He can make any color with this encampment. You know, if he's got some double blue or double white bomb, that's the only thing. But if he has that, he's not attacking with his Ritualist anyway. Play my forest just so I can represent having something in the green instant. And we'll pass the turn. Yep, we are dead next turn on the board. Best draw right now is one of our Striped River Winders, which we're not going to get. Okay, we're going to pack it in.
Even if we did, he can just keep both of them from blocking.
Since our opponent is doing somewhat larger things, although honestly it wasn't very impressive what he was doing with his Ritualist. He barely actually needed it. The only time he got any value out of it was when he was able to exert it for our in response to our bounce spell.
For it to play itself again.
Correct. Well, he didn't play it actually.
That's right.
He exiled our graveyard. Don't want the proven combatants. Scarab Feast and Trespasser's Curse without weakness. None of these did not see an artifact I cared much about. The question is, do we want to make his big fatties a little smaller or try to stop his fatties? The problem is our fatties are better than his fatties. He's got 4/4s that can't stop our River Winders from blocking because they're hexproof.
Oh, yeah.
There's not really anything we can do. We could take out the Sarcophagus because we know he has that land. But it's still just a one-time shot. He has to sacrifice the land. And if we'd drawn any more cycling cards, we could have cycled them and then cast them to get a little extra value. You know, basically turns all of our cycling cards into +1 cantrips. Mm-hmm. Spend 1 more mana to cycle it and draw a card off.
And you don't have to do it in the same turn, too.
Our Feral Prowlers, gonna stop that 2/2. I'm gonna leave that, and I think I'm good with the way it is. Let's go again. Hope things go a little bit better. Our Glorybringer doesn't get binned because of our own
Winds of Rebuke.
Winds of Rebuke. Now, is that a reason to not play Winds of Rebuke, Alex? Or any self-mill spell? Some people you'll hear that say because, well, I might mill one of my best creatures into the graveyard.
No.
Why is that not a good argument?
Because your best creature isn't your only creature.
That's part of it. So you're saying you're not losing the full value of your best creature because you're still keeping with the value of whatever you get instead. More importantly, though, it's random what you hit. So you are just as likely to draw a Glorybringer that was deeper in your deck because you milled yourself as you are to accidentally mill your Glorybringer. And we do have a Wander in Death. So that is a card that can get back our Glorybringer anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even without Wander in Death, though, it would still be correct. We will play first. And we're all blue, but I think we're still keeping this. And the question is, do we want to play the desert or cycle the desert?
I think we play the desert so we can be guaranteed to be able to play our Sinuous Checker and start getting in a lot of damage.
And what turn do we play it on?
Oh, we don't get it until turn. We don't get any damage until turn 4, by which he'll probably have something.
Opponent mulligans. So I'm going to play Island turn 1 with the plan of cycling and seeing what I get before I decide what to do with desert. If I hit another land, then I don't need to play it. If I don't, I may choose to play this on turn 2. I would like to put it in the graveyard because it makes it turns Countervailing Winds on, or makes it a little better because it'll already be on with Striped River Winder. Opponent into the tank over what to do on turn 1 over there.
Maybe he has 7 different lands and he's wondering which one to play.
That would be unfortunate. I don't think I would have kept a mulligan to 6 with exactly 6 lands in it. Would you go to 5 at that point, Alex?
Probably.
Oh, now he's going to have even tougher choices of what to actually go get with his Evolving Wilds.
Like he needs more. That's probably what he was thinking. Evolving Wilds is essentially...
Yeah, he might have been... Maybe he has a 1 or a 2 drop and he's not sure, and he's got the same kind of question of, well, when do I play my tap land? You know, there's one way to think of it. It's better to do it early so that it's coming in tapped when it doesn't really matter. But on the other hand, you may want to save it until later because you don't know what land you're going to get until you see what other lands you draw. If he's missing his one black... Alright, so now since we drew our third land, I am definitely going to cycle the desert. Opponent definitely has not learned the magic of F8. Just, as you can tell, he's got less time on the clock than we do. Unless maybe he's narrating too, you never really know. Opponent with the dual land. One green.
Petrid Pools, the blue black.
Fetid pools.
Fetid pools.
What does fetid mean, Alex?
Rotted.
Yeah, stinking. Usually because of rot, it's stinking. Now we have two options here. The first option is play Sinuous Striker. The second option is hold up, Countervailing Winds, Winds of Rebuke, and Beneath the Sands cycling. I kind of don't want to cycle away the Beneath the Sands because if we do get our green, which is our second most common basic land, we're going to want to go get black with it. We're on the play.
I think we
want to be attacking. Striker. I'd rather save Countervailing Winds for something better than a 3-drop anyway. Same thing with Winds of Rebuke, so let's go.
If we draw land next turn, we can make our Sinuous Strike a little bit bigger.
And while holding up Countervailing Winds.
Yes. Even if we don't draw land.
Alright, excellent. So now we actually get to choose if we want to do that. But if we draw green land, I'm playing the Ritualist. If we draw black or red land, Glorybringer.
That makes the choice for Beneath the Sands much more interesting.
I think holding up Countervailing Winds is more important than getting one extra damage in right now.
We could. Oh, yeah.
I could hold up Winds of Rebuke, but like I said, I don't want to use that just to set my opponent back turn. Now, if I had drawn a land and played another aggressive 2-drop, bouncing my opponent's creature would have been a more reasonable choice, because at that point I'm getting an additional 2 damage in, plus I'm able to Countervailing Winds it next turn. Our opponent plays counter most any 4 or 5 drop right here. The question is, do I want to counter that?
Can't.
You're right. He would be able to pay for the 2. So I think we'll leave it alone. Question is, do we Winds of Rebuke it now at the end of the turn, or do we cycle?
I want to Winds of Rebuke.
I think so too.
Just because I don't want to cycle either of them.
Problem though is cycling helps us dig to our next land. I'm thinking of cycling the Beneath the Sands because we're going to need to draw green anyway, and the second I draw green I can play a Ritualist, which will let me play...
Beetle or Bringer.
Yeah, it'll let me play Beetle or Bringer. Let's do it.
Alright.
And we're going to cycle that 2 right away, try to get a land. Yuck. I think we save Striker to block now. Even though we take Trample, I'm happy to trade this because we can get Eternalized back. We can get Sinuous Striker back at some point. I could cycle now to try to hit a land drop, but if I don't, I can't do anything. And if I do, still the only thing I can do is Winds of Rebuke.
And if he has something to give it an extra toughness,
you cannot give it an extra toughness. Oh, if he gives his Naga extra toughness? Yeah.
Then you can pay 1 and you still have enough for Winds of Rebuke. You can either Countervailing Winds, Winds of Rebuke, or make your Sinuous Striker bigger.
Notice this also puts one more thing in my graveyard. I'll counter almost anything he plays right now because I'm getting so far behind, and that's a good thing to be countering. Best draw right now is Forest. One of my blue cyclers would be okay. I will get my Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs down.
Desert of the Mindfall is in the graveyard.
It is in the graveyard, so it is active.
He's on an 18-turn clock right now, Dad. Do you think we can do it?
Kill him with only Forgotten Pharaoh? Not a chance.
That almost happened to me once, actually.
But if I draw 18 more cards, I will have guaranteed to draw a significant number of lands in that time. I may be facing the possibility of just Winds of Rebuking his Ceradon next turn. And he's got a Hoopu, so he's... Okay, alright, let's see. That doesn't really help us do anything else, does it?
Nope.
Alright, well, we do have 2 mountains we do have 2 mountains. We do not have enough for Sinuous Striker. There's nothing I could play out of the graveyard for 2 mana that would give me a reason to Winds of Rebuke now. So I actually should probably Winds of Rebuke his Ceradon now, though, this turn, just in case he's got... I'm going to wind up doing it during combat anyway. I don't think there's a good reason to wait. And what did I hit? Forest! Haha, never mind, Forest. So this is 2 times in a row that our Winds of Rebuke has tossed something into the graveyard that we wanted, but it's still not going to stop me from playing the card. Essence Scatter would be so good in my hand right now. Take 1 in the air. We'll ping him. Forest. Swamp. Swamp gives us a little bit of play.
On the Ceradon next turn, we probably Punisher it.
Yes. Even if I draw a Forest and could Decimator Beetle.
So if there's...
I would rather do Oasis Ritualist and kill it.
Is Banewell Punisher any target creature or just a creature an opponent controls? Okay.
Any creature. I actually did use it on my own once. My opponent had put some bomb I had. What were... Oh, it was the last games we played. Our opponent had put an Unquenchable Thirst on one of our really good creatures, one of my really good creatures, and I had a Wandering Death, so I wound up
killing it with
killing my own creature, so I could get it back with Wandering Death, so I could do it. It's very rare that would be the correct thing to do, but it was there. I will block the Ceradon with my Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs and pray he doesn't have a combat trick. But I can't afford to just keep taking 3 over and over again here.
Unless he makes your wall unable to block.
Yep, then I won't do it. And I will not block the Banewhip Punisher.
Because the Banewhip Punisher will not kill it.
Interestingly, if I draw green, I could Ambuscade to kill the Gilded Ceradon and keep my Banewhip Punisher around. But I still think I like doing Oasis Ritualist and blowing up the Punisher better so I can get Glorybringer online. So I've got a fair number of other red sources. I've got 1 mountain. I've got one of those Survivors encampments. I've got an Evolving... Wait, an Evolving Wilds? No, I don't have Evolving Wilds. Traveler's Amulet. Do I have enough mana to play it after I cast and crack a Traveler's Amulet? No, that will be short if I draw that. But I do have other ways to get double red, even if I never see another forest in this game. Opponent is spending a lot of mana on something that's not boding well for us. It's something I can kill with Glorybringer. That would be fantastic if I draw a mountain. Or a holdout settlement.
Is Glorybringer the only dragon in the set? Other than Bolas, which isn't really a dragon because he's a planeswalker?
I believe that's right. There's some worms.
Yeah, the sandworms.
And another green spell I can't play. Okay, so at this point, do I kill the Ceradon or do I bring back my Sinuous Striker? Discarding Feral Prowler. What do you think, Alex?
Kill the Ceradon. But wait until he attacks, because if he attacks with the Titan, you may be able to block.
But if he attacks first, he's going to use the Ceradon's ability to make one of these not able to block.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's better just to kill it right now. I could have a 4-4, but the 4-4 is still not blocking the Titan this turn. because he will make the 4/4 unable to block, and then all I have is a double block, which doesn't work.
Ow.
And we'll get some sweet F6 value for the rest of the turn. So we are taking 6 damage next turn. We are desperately looking for a mountain. We may be alright if our opponent's next play is not great, and we draw a mountain right away.
I think if we draw a mountain, we
Exert and kill the Titan, and we're in much better shape at that point. At least my opponent may have to respect a counterspell of some kind here.
we're gonna block.
Can't block. Has menace. We're all crossing our fingers, just hoping he goes to his end step.
You had to say something, didn't you?
Doomfall. Alright, well,
Bye-bye, Glorybringer.
yeah, I think that has to be the pull.
That's what he's gonna see, and that's what he's gonna take.
Yep. Alright, Forest, and we play. Now we need to play the Decimator Beetle if we draw Forest. Well, we take 4 next turn. Possibly more because he's got the Frontline Devastator activations. I'll just, might be time to throw away the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs.
Yep.
Our opponent is doing something now. Just drawing a card on his own turn. Okay.
Forest would be very nice right now. Walled,
I'm losing the wall and taking 2 damage if he does that. But I'm taking 4 damage if I don't, and that puts me to 4 plus 1 puts me to 2, which leaves me dead to just 2 hits from the Hoopu. I think I need to preserve my life total. Even if I don't draw anything useful, I do have the Sinuous Striker, discarding Feral Prowler play. Yeah, now I get it. Okay. Alright.
couple turns too late.
So we are going to 1 next turn, as he will afflict us. And then I'm still dead if I don't draw. He trades with that. Take 2, take 3, go to 1. Then he's got 2 creatures on the battlefield. Not looking great. And one of them is going to have Menace. I don't think there's a draw that gets us out of this, Alex.
And he's gonna kill our beetle.
We have Forest. I can Ritualist and kill the Hoopu. But then I'm facing down a Menace creature. Maybe he plays a different creature besides the Menace creature. That's a possibility.
You should play the Feral Prowler. Because we can get an extra card.
We're dead, Alex. We can't get an extra card.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. We can make him discard 2 cards. We do not have enough to eternalize that and play something else. I can play either Ritualist or Prowler. No, it's just too late to get a Forest. I still don't think it was wrong to keep that. We had plenty of action in the early game. We had a lot of chances to draw a green.
Reveal your hand.
No.
Oh.
A lot of chances to draw a green source, just didn't get there. Unlucky, but not unexpected. That certainly happens in games.